Bangkok, 1997. A young banker stares at his screen in disbelief. The Thai baht, stable for over a decade, is collapsing in real time. Investors are pulling money out faster than he can track it. Entire fortunes vanish by the minute. It's called the Asian financial crisis, and it started right here, in Thailand. The land of beaches, temples, and cheap holidays suddenly became the epicenter of global panic. But Thailand's dark side is much older and deeper than one economic crash. It's a story of coups, dictatorships, massacres, corruption, and an economy that lures in tourists with smiles while hiding scars beneath the surface. This is the dark side of Thailand. Thailand often sells itself as the land of smiles, and for short-term visitors, that's true. Golden temples, endless street food, beaches straight out of a travel brochure. Instagram influencers flock here for perfect sunset shots. Digital nomads work from beachside cafes, gap year backpackers stumble through full moon parties, but behind the smiles is a country where politics, power, and poverty have collided in brutal ways. Let's start with politics. Since ending absolute monarchy in 1932, Thailand has had nearly 20 constitutions and more than a dozen successful military coups. That's about one coup every 6 years. Think of democracy as a light switch in Thailand. On, off, and the generals always keep their hand on the switch. Whenever civilians get too much power, the military storms in. Tanks on the streets of Bangkok, constitution ripped up, government dissolved. The playbook never changes. Claim national security, promise order, suspend elections temporarily. Then, after a few years, they allow elections again, until the cycle repeats. The result is political instability, so baked into Thai history that nobody's even surprised anymore. The most recent coup was in 2014. General Prayuth Chan-o-cha seized power, banned political gatherings, imposed martial law, and ruled through a military junta for 5 years. When elections finally returned in 2019, he simply swapped his uniform for a suit and became prime minister anyway. Democracy with Thai characteristics, they call it, but coups aren't just abstract power plays. They've often come with bloodshed. In 1973, student-led protests against the dictatorship brought 500,000 people into the streets. The military cracked down with bullets and tanks. Hundreds were killed. 3 years later, in 1976, students gathered again to protest. The response was one of the darkest moments in Thai history, the Thammasat University massacre. Paramilitaries and police stormed the campus. Protesters were shot, lynched, and beaten. Bodies were hung from trees while crowds cheered. The brutality was so shocking that many details were censored for decades. The official death toll was 46, but witnesses claim it was much higher. And this wasn't the last time. In 1992, more protests known as Black May erupted against military rule. General Suchinda Kraparayun had seized power and refused to step down. When hundreds of thousands took to the streets, soldiers opened fire on civilians in the heart of Bangkok. Bodies fell on Ratchadamnon Avenue while the world watched on CNN. The cycle of democracy, dictatorship, and violence continued. Even in recent years, student protests demanding reform have been met with water cannons, tear gas, and arrests. Young activists hold up 3 fingers, the Hunger Games salute, and get hauled away by police. Thailand may call itself a democracy, but history shows it's a democracy with a time limit. And then there's the monarchy, officially symbolic, unofficially untouchable. Thailand has some of the harshest lèse-majesté laws in the world. Criticizing the king can land you in prison for up to 15 years per offense. Post a meme, share a comment, or even question the role of the monarchy, and you risk years behind bars. The current king, Mahavajiralongkorn, spends most of his time in Germany, flying back occasionally for ceremonies. He's worth an estimated $30 billion, making him one of the world's richest monarchs. His personal life has been tabloid material, multiple marriages, divorces, scandals, but mentioning any of this in Thailand could destroy your life. This has created a strange national silence. Everyone knows the monarchy is powerful. Everyone knows its wealth and influence are massive, but nobody can talk about it openly. Restaurants turn off their TVs when royal news comes on. Social media posts are censored. For a country marketed as free-spirited and open, the limits on free speech are suffocating. Economics, too, hides its dark side. In the 1980s and 90s, Thailand was one of Asia's tiger economies. Growth was booming, Bangkok was modernizing, skyscrapers shot up overnight. Foreign investment poured in. The World Bank praised Thailand as a model for developing nations. But underneath, the system was fragile. Corruption was rampant, banks were reckless, and debt piled up. Companies borrowed heavily in foreign currency to fund expansion. Real estate speculation ran wild. Sound familiar? Thailand was building its own bubble, just like Japan had a decade earlier. When the baht collapsed in 1997, it triggered the worst economic crisis in Thai history. The currency lost half its value overnight. Businesses failed, families lost savings, unemployment soared. Construction sites became graveyards of half-built towers. The crisis spread across Asia like a financial wildfire. Indonesia, South Korea, Malaysia, all fell. But it started with Thailand's weaknesses. The IMF swooped in with a $17 billion bailout, but the conditions were harsh. Slash government spending, raise taxes, let weak banks fail. Millions of Thais paid the price for their leaders' recklessness. Even after recovery, inequality remains staggering. Bangkok glitters with luxury malls and high-rises, but rural provinces remain desperately poor. Thailand consistently ranks among the most unequal countries in Asia. A small elite lives in extreme wealth, while millions live paycheck to paycheck. Drive an hour outside Bangkok and you'll see tin shacks next to rice fields, a world away from the gleaming towers. And corruption isn't just economic, it's everywhere. From the police, to customs, to politicians, bribes are part of the system. Roadblocks, permits, business deals, almost everything has a price. The culture of T-money, polite slang for bribes, runs deep. Transparency International regularly ranks Thailand among the world's most corrupt countries. Traffic cops supplement their salaries with roadside fines. Building permits require expediting fees. Business licenses need processing charges. Everyone understands the game. Everyone plays along. It's not corruption, it's just how things work. And then there's tourism, the jewel of Thailand's economy. 40 million visitors a year come for beaches, food, nightlife. Tourism employs millions and generates massive foreign currency. But tourism has its dark side too. For decades, Thailand has been infamous for sex tourism. Officially, prostitution is illegal. In reality, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. Entire districts in Bangkok and Pattaya are dedicated to it. Go-go bars, massage parlors, beer bars. The infrastructure is vast and visible. Poverty drives many women, and disturbingly, children, into the trade. The statistics are grim. Thailand has an estimated 300,000 sex workers. Many are migrants from neighboring countries, working illegally. Others are rural Thai women who move to cities for economic opportunities. Police and politicians look the other way, often because they're profiting from it. Thailand has tried to rebrand itself, to move past the reputation of being the world's sex capital. Marketing campaigns emphasize culture, cuisine, and natural beauty, but the shadow lingers. For some, Thailand is paradise. For others, it's exploitation disguised as hospitality. Drugs are another part of the story. In the early 2000s, Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra launched a war on drugs. It quickly spiraled into a bloodbath. Police and vigilantes carried out thousands of extrajudicial killings. Hit lists circulated, many victims weren't dealers at all, just unlucky names on a list, or people with personal enemies. The campaign shocked human rights groups but was popular with many Thais, who were tired of methamphetamine flooding the country from the Golden Triangle. Today, meth pills known as yaba are still a crisis. Trafficking networks operate across borders with Myanmar and Laos. Corruption ensures enforcement is weak, and addiction devastates communities. Thailand remains a major transit route for drugs heading to Australia, Japan, and beyond. Thailand also has one of the highest traffic fatality rates in the world. Over 20,000 people die every year on the roads. Drunk driving, speeding, motorcycles, weaving between cars. Poor enforcement, it's so common that many families simply expect they'll lose someone in an accident. Songkran, the water festival, is also called 7 Days of Danger because of the spike in road deaths. It's a hidden public health crisis that rarely makes the tourist brochures. And then there's the south. For decades, Thailand's southern provinces, where most people are Malay, Muslim, not Buddhist, have simmered with insurgency. Separatist groups have carried out bombings and attacks, while the Thai military responds with heavy crackdowns. Thousands have died in a conflict most outsiders barely know exists. The roots go deep. The region was once independent Malay kingdoms before being absorbed by Thailand. The culture, language, and religion are different. Bangkok has tried to impose Thai identity through education and bureaucracy, but resentment festered. To Bangkok, it's a security issue. To locals, it feels like occupation. Add it all together, and Thailand's story looks very different from the postcard image. It's a nation of coups and constitutions, massacres and protests, corruption and inequality, exploitation and silence. Yet, somehow, it survives. The streets of Bangkok are still alive with energy. The food is still incredible. The temples are still beautiful. Tourists still come in droves. And that's part of the paradox. Thailand is both paradise and purgatory, depending on where you stand. The land of smiles is real, but smiles can hide pain. For every tourist sipping cocktails on a beach, there's a farmer buried in debt, a worker trapped in exploitation, or a protester silenced by force. Thailand's dark side is a reminder that behind every paradise, there are shadows. But hey, at least the mango sticky rice is still world-class. Priorities. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you want more stories of countries where the smiles are real, but the scars run deep.